Hello. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Material Procurement Report. The Material Procurement Report is a critical report in the system, as it gives the buyer a full view on all the materials they're required to buy to satisfy the current job requirements within the system. So essentially it's the results of MRP. It will also list any materials that have dipped under minimum stock level and prompt the buyer to buy those materials as well. So it's a reflection of all the material requirements against jobs in the system. So I'm going to launch Material Procurement, and for the purpose of this video I'm going to launch it from the Redthorn SP workflow, but Material Procurement is relevant for the full Redthorn system and for the Redthorn SP lighter version of the system. So I'm going to launch the report, and the first thing I'm going to do is open a report and go through some of the main basics of the report, and then I'll look at some of the other areas in detail. So to do the basics, I'm just going to run a report from one supplier to the next, so you can run it for a range of suppliers, a range of categories, and categories might be raw material or something like that, which is set it in the material database, or I might set it for a set of a range of material codes, or and I might choose to order it by various fields. I'm going to leave it as material code. So I'm running this for just one supplier, so it's going to give me every material that's required by the system for that specific supplier, and in the link from the supplier to the material is the supplier is the preferred supplier in the material database. So if I run this report, it's going to give me a listing by material. So currently there's 2 materials that are required for TJ Engineering, and I'm just going to work through the data on here to explain what it means. So firstly, the material code and description, the current actual stock, the balance, the minimum stock, minimum order quantity, preferred supplier, and the lead time, which is held in the material database. The usual location for this material, the category it sits under, so this is RM, raw material, any total outstanding orders against it, where there are none, and the minimum order quantity required, 10. So this is telling me I don't need any for jobs, but I do have a minimum order quantity, and then the unit of purchase is in meters. The second line, I have the same information, but I have a balance of minus 11. This is because there are jobs in the system requiring that balance, and that's where that's coming from. And this one has a lead time of 5 days and no location. So you can see if I click through, blue indicates a click through, I can then click through and it will show me the listing of jobs that require. So I've got one job that requires 1 and one that requires 10. So again here the buyer can look at this and decide, does he or she want to buy 11 now? Bearing in mind the required dates, which you can see are 3, or does he want to buy, he or she just want to buy 1 now and then 10 at a later date. So these are the decision making process the Material Procurement Report allows you to make. So I would then use this information, and I will in the next video, to go ahead and buy those materials. I'm now going to show some of the more advanced functionality within the Material Procurement Report. And really it's about going down these job breakdown sub-assemblies in these areas here. So include job breakdown details will pull up, and I'm going to use that one on the next time I run the report. This will pull up the required jobs up onto the top level of the report, so you don't need to drill down, which makes it easier if you're printing out the procurement report. Include sub-assemblies will put all the sub-assemblies, so where you want to raise manufacturing jobs. So some users will not automatically raise sub-assemblies, but they'll use a procurement report to tell them what to raise. Subcontract items is for full system users, not for Redthorn SP. This is any items that are being purchased through the subcontract menu structure or module. Sub-assemblies only will show you just the internal manufactured parts that are required by the system. Display fitting description will display the material fitting descriptions. And finally, display purchase order details will show any open purchase orders that are up against against the material being displayed. So I'm going to run those two, and we'll just flick through the report and show some examples of these two items, and also a third item where if you're using sales order processing, you can actually direct sell materials through the system, which is available on the full system. So if I run this for every material code, you can just scan through and find some data. So here we go. So straight up, this aluminium bar 70, you can see it's pulled the job number up to the top level, and it's also given some information on the last purchase order date. If I keep going down, on this item, it's pulled up the other piece of information I was looking for. So this is all the jobs required for this piece of 8mm bar, and at the end it's also reflecting to sales orders where this bar has been specifically sold direct to the customer as a material 2 and 4. So the purchase requirements are reflecting both the material required for the jobs and also the direct sales, and it would also take into account a minimum order quantity, minimum stock level, if that was in place. So they're the main areas of the material procurement report. So to sum up, you run by order, range of material codes or a single material code, range of categories, suppliers, and then there's the individual specific items you can select to alter what the result looks like for the report.